Cotman, Crawford, and the Jersey Guy podcast.
Hey everybody, Kenny Cotman.
Lewis Crawford.
And I'm Tom Ramage, the Jersey Guy.
What is going on, fellas?
What's going on?
Yeah, it's been a few weeks, bro. We haven't talked, haven't seen each other.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Everybody good?
Good.
Everybody's chilling. Good stuff. Excellent. So we're just going to jump right in.
Yeah.
So today's episode, today, right? I got a guest. Nice. I got a guest. Cool. So we brought in Officer Hightower.
Yes.
We're going to have a little bit of police talk. Welcome, nice. Officer Hightower.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming through, hanging out with us and whatnot. I said, and we're going to try to keep it super basic and whatnot. Fill us in with whatever it is you want to speak on. We have a few questions, but we'll start off with, how did you become a cop? Like, what made you want to become a cop? How did you become a cop?
Well, honestly, in my personal life, I became a cop to obviously, I guess, help out in some type of way. Obviously, I'm here on this planet. I'm here to obviously work a job like everyone else. So obviously my thought process, I like to help people. So in my journey, here I am. I took the test and now I'm a police officer.
Cool. Thank you.
How long you been a police officer now?
At this time, approximately 7 years.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow.
7 years.
Nice. Okay. And that's right. So you just woke up one day and was like, you know what? This is what I'm going to do to give back.
Yeah. I mean, I figured it would be something that would be beneficial for both myself and the public.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Good stuff. All right. Question?
No,
you guys?
We'll let you go ahead and lead.
Oh,
We'll see where you go with this.
So, well, no, I'm going to say we're going to try to keep it super easy. We're not going to get super crazy or nothing like that.
So, question. Sorry.
No, sorry.
So, usually when you go for police officer, you're like a beat cop first, right? Before you can do anything else or move on to certain like levels like DT and.
Yes, everyone pretty much starts off as a trainee. So they get assigned more than likely a FTO officer, which is basically a field training officer. They're basically someone who went through the schooling to now apply a teaching style to police work, to obviously the new recruits.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. And what's your favorite thing about being a police officer? So we know why you became a cop. So now you doing it now for 7 years. What's the one thing that's like, you know what? It's worthwhile. This makes sense.
I would say more so the help. Because obviously you don't really get accredited for a lot of things that you do as a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
You go through probably all types of scenarios to the point where there are moments where you have a victim, let's say, that thanks you for helping them, thanks you for obviously getting them out of that scenario or that situation that they couldn't handle. They needed someone else.
Mm-hmm.
But me personally, I would say I do appreciate the innocence of like the children more. Like they thank you, they wave to you, they do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously they know you're there to kind of help.
Right.
So that would probably be my I guess thing.
Yeah, for the kids. Yes, for the kids. That's awesome. That's good. That's I don't not that I've interviewed 100 cops before, but I never thought that. You know what I mean? I always thought like just I said, just for the kids. I've always thought the basic would just be helping out the people, making sure the victims are okay, kind of thing. But to hear that your specific is for the kids, that's pretty groovy. They get a couple, like I said, I know a couple of officers that have that work in the community, help out with kids, take them like the camping and stuff like that, and I've only now like maybe two of you guys that I know that I've actually like, oh, you know what? That's what it's about. The kids, making them smile and whatnot. Okay. Now, do you have a funny story about being
hang on.
Okay, go ahead.
So that was a positive thing. What's the frustrating part of being a police officer?
I know, obviously, I personally don't like politics, but when it comes down to obviously the police work, yes, politics come into a play, and that'll probably be the most frustrating thing.
Copy. That makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah. And it shouldn't. That's the frustrating thing, I'm sure, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I was just curious about that. So
Yeah.
continue, sir.
No. That was
I just want, I wanted to
Yeah.
good, and I want to know
Yeah.
what's the negative or the frustrating part.
Yeah,
of
no,
it.
that makes sense. Nothing, Tom.
No,
Nothing yet?
I'm not like
The Jersey guy is.
Yeah. He's like,
If I come up with something, you know.
yeah. No doubt. He
So,
come in
you
and
know,
jump in. Yeah.
That's how I.
So like, what other? He said the one thing that's just a little bit funky about it. But give me a funny story. I want to hear a good police story. Like, something that, just made you laugh, sit back and just chuckle. Like, I can't believe that just happened.
I mean, it's hard to say a funny story because you have to understand that obviously when we respond to calls, per se, stuff that we don't initiate, we just respond to calls.
All right.
Like, people are calling us because they're having a bad day.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, it's not a lot of funny behind a lot of it.
Oh,
But you do encounter funny people.
okay.
You encounter characters that they're good people.
Right.
You encounter them on a daily basis,
Huh.
let's say. And unfortunately there's at a rung on their ladder that's not beneficial. So obviously, but at the end of the day, it doesn't take away from their character.
Right.
And you meet these funny people and I enjoy that as well. Like there are a lot of like just funny stories behind them, I guess, per se.
Huh.
Yeah. Okay.
See? Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
so a lot of times you guys are like first responders. So like,
Yes.
do you like? I guess you usually have to like go to situations where like there's like been an accident or something like that. Usually you're there before the ambulance is there. So I'm sure like it's a lot of bad stuff, right? I mean, like
Exactly. I mean, for the most part, yeah, we're first responders. That we get the call before fire. We get the call before the medics. So
yeah.
So we have to obviously now either preserve something or protect something or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're the first ones there, and I guess it gets to a point where we try to obviously handle the situation.
Yeah. You got to kind of be like the jack of all trades a little bit because you got to know a little bit of fire. Yeah, you got to know a little bit of fire, a little bit of EMS because you're there before they get there. So
Right. So you pretty much have to assess what's going on. And you're like, okay, this is what we need here now.
Yeah.
Like, we need EMT and we need to get fired.
We're pretty much the first voice on the radio.
Right.
To get
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, they're the ones who are called first from wherever they're having something going on. But most of the time, you're right. I've always noticed it's the police that show up first and then something else is coming right behind them. You know, usually is the case. So what about a situation where you get a call and you're like, oh, like, is there a certain call, a type of situation that you're like, you don't like, or, it makes you uncomfortable to the point where I'm sure there's certain things that happen and you're like, oh, I don't want to go. Yeah, I hate that call. That's a certain call I'm not comfortable with or something like that.
I mean, I guess at this point, like, you kind of get ingrained to it. So it's not really like, I don't want to go to that call. I hate that call because at the end of the day, again, it's people calling you for some type of help.
Right.
So it's just that, some calls are a little more frustrating, a little more kind of maybe hits home. Maybe sometimes, you take to heart a little more. But for the most part, I mean, like you said, it's just running out there to assess what do we need now?
Right.
What's the next step? How do we help this situation?
Right.
Okay. So now, when you do, like we were talking quick, fast earlier, when you pull somebody over, right? Now, how is it that you protect yourself? Are you by yourself? Do you have a partner? Do you wait for somebody else to come, another patrol car to come?
Right. Do you both approach the car together?
So for the most part, with the departments that I've worked for, it's been a situation where if I initiate, obviously, a traffic stop, I'm there first. Obviously, if I'm uncomfortable. Obviously, we're not forced to have to hop out on the car.
Okay.
Once we pull them over, if let's say the car is occupied by multiple people,
Right.
I don't want to obviously approach just in case.
Right.
Right.
You don't know.
There's some situation, afoot. So I may wait for obviously someone to back me up, or someone else to get dispatched to my location.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, how often have, we'll say 10 times that happens, not just you, but other officers? Like, I guess, I won't say how many times like that, but does it happen often?
It does.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, as the police, obviously we are in the trenches,
Right.
when it comes to all this stuff, and whatever obviously gets displayed or reported or brought to the attention of people, it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It doesn't mean there's still these things that happen. So out of the 10 times, it could be that some departments 6 out of 10 times they encounter something that's more than just a traffic stop.
Mm-hmm.
It might be 3 out of 10 times with other departments, but at the end of the day, these things happen, like they occur.
Okay.
And yeah, we pull people over for minor traffic infractions because you ran through a stop sign, or you blew through a red light, or you overtook someone because you couldn't wait. You're in a rush to get to work.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it, but at the end of the day, like when we initiate these traffic stops, we have to err on this side of caution, because who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Pulling over.
Right.
Who knows?
Right.
Yeah. That's wild.
And sometimes when you pull someone over, let's say it's just their taillight's not working, right? You pull them over, you get their license, you run it, whatever, and then you come to find out this guy's got a warrant out for his arrest or something's going on. I would assume that's another time where you would ask for backup before you would go back to the car again.
Exactly. I mean, if we get to the point where I approach you and you're complying and acting casual and give me your ID and stuff, you may know you have a warrant. I might not know yet. Obviously, I'm going to find out.
Right.
So if I find out, now, again, I would definitely wait for backup. And at the end of the day, I mean, I'm not sure how you're going to react.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, you may know you have a warrant, but
Right. He's being cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you get those moments where you're getting people where they're nervous when you pull them over and they're acting a little weird, or they're not, it doesn't seem right. I'm sure that happens quite a bit too. Does that, how do you usually handle something like that when you see someone who's a little off? Something's not right.
at the end of the day, I feel like you kind of have to know humans. You have to know how we kind of would react to certain things, how we are under certain stressors. So getting pulled over by a police officer, yeah, you don't want to get a ticket. Yeah, right. You don't have the money to pay for this ticket, or you don't have the energy to waste on this. So It's almost like, yeah, you don't want to. So you're nervous now.
Right.
Hopefully, this officer is reasonable enough.
Right.
Sometimes.
Right.
Because obviously we understand.
Mm-hmm.
Understand.
Yeah, it happens.
You are booking it to work. I get it. I had to book it to work plenty of times in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's funny.
Now here's a question I always want to ask.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Mr. Hightower.
Why is it when a police officer is driving a car, they don't signal and they turn? They have to abide by the same rules as everybody else. So are they above the law when it comes to that? Or is it just like, I'm a police officer. I don't need to do that right now.
That's
I
great.
would agree, but I can't attest to it because I signal. So
okay, good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
That's a good one, Lou. That's so funny, bro.
I was waiting for him to come up with some.
Yeah, so crazy random. I'm waiting for some
I have
singer.
things going through my head. I'm trying to think, what's a good question to ask.
Yeah.
But that was one I always wanted to do. I always had this fantasy, to be honest with you. Like I said, I would love to be able to be a cop for a day when someone, when you get people that are driving on the road and they just pull in front of you and they take off and they're just doing that bullshit going in and out of cars, right? Pull them over and just, be like, I'm giving you a ticket. Right? I'm not even going to ask him for anything. I didn't even want your license. I already ran your plate. You're getting a ticket.
I get it. And And it's funny too because once I became an officer, and now I'm obviously working my job, working my shift. You see the infractions, but you see obviously you're in a police car, so people recognize you, so you don't see a lot.
Right.
Once you're back in your personal vehicle,
yes.
and you're driving,
all of a sudden everybody's driving like an asshole.
Right.
it's amazing. It's almost like you
That's
wish you
crazy.
had
Yeah.
that power at that time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's true. And I have to be honest, if I'm driving and I'm on the highway and I'm going a certain speed, and I see a car ahead of me, I'll let off the gas. I don't usually brake, but I kind of slow down when I'm passing by or whatever, Yeah. But a lot of people, they hit the brake real quick.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
And I'm like, he's going to see you hit
Yeah,
the brake,
exactly.
man.
Yeah.
Don't hit
Yeah.
the brake. So I know there's probably things you look for too, right? When someone's speeding by you.
I mean, yes, the brake thing. Obviously, you see the nose of the vehicle dip if they hit the brakes hard or something like that. But for most of the time, a lot of vehicle infractions just come from people just rolling through stop signs. It's
Wow.
stop. And obviously, in the book of law, vehicle and traffic, you have to stop by that law.
Yeah. Right.
Like
That's
wheels
funny.
stopped.
I always thought of something funny. Like if I was a cop, if I was doing like, radar or whatever, I would purposely put on Waze to see how fast someone reports it.
Oh yeah, that you're sitting there. Yeah. Yeah.
2 seconds. Bloop,
Yeah.
bloop, bloop,
Do you
bloop.
have Waze?
But I mean, I don't personally have Waze, but I heard a joke. It's funny that they were saying a lot of officers were signing up to repute it or to report it and say, no, it's wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, get out. That's great.
Yeah, because you can do that. Like, if,
Yeah,
like,
right.
Cause,
Yeah, no,
especially because even if it's not just for that, like you're like reporting like roadkill or something.
Right.
Like, 'cause I think or a car stopped on the side of the road to let people know like hey,
Right,
down 'cause the
yeah.
car, like if it's gone, you're supposed to hit like not
Yeah,
there.
not there, right.
So it doesn't
Yeah,
stay,
courtesy.
so it clears
Yeah.
it clears it out.
Right.
So yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So
That's funny. I wonder if that cop did it when I was working. I was working. I wasn't, speeding or doing whatever.
Right.
And I saw that it said there was a cop that was coming, and then it just disappeared. But then when I got to that spot, the cop was there. So I wonder, I wonder if that's what he did, man. That's great. I'm almost afraid to hit it sometimes because I don't want them to know it's me that they were there.
Right. Well, can you tell who did it? Well,
no.
I guess if you're going by it at that time, right?
Well, don't forget,
goes
yeah,
by
because I'm
username and then
because
it says,
I'm on the job. I'm working and I do 2:00 in the morning.
Right,
So at
right,
3:00 in the morning, there's like 3 cars.
Right.
One's a mile ahead of me, and then another one is like way back. Like he just came over the crest of that little hill I went over, and it's just me, and I'm there. He got me. I was like, that's funny. Okay, so now a while back we did an episode called "Driving Lessons from Kenny." Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm like one of the greatest drivers ever. That's me. I'm a genius in my own mind, whatever. I always ask, why is it that an officer will pull somebody over for speeding, right? But doesn't pull that person over that's going under the speed limit? Like the speed limit sign is right there. So if you're in my way, if I'm in the passing lane, or even if like we're on the street or whatever, why is it that you're not getting that person, male, female, whatever, you're not getting that person? But you're gonna get me because I might be either tailgating and or I came over. Well, no, but I'm saying because like if they're going super slow, so if I'm doing the speed limit and they're going like 5 miles under the speed limit, why am I'm trying to do the speed limit? Like they literally just slow down so much or stop.
Well, the rule of road, right, is the right lane, right?
Well, that's only on the highway.
Right.
That's not on the street.
Oh, on the street.
Yeah, I'm talking like on the street. Like I said, I'm not trying to pass anybody. It's just if I'm doing 45 miles an hour because it reads 45 and they're doing 35. How come they're not getting pulled over?
I wouldn't have a real answer for it, but I would more so assume that you're still under the speed limit. If you're under the speed limit, I feel like you can argue or articulate that, maybe you had an issue with your car and you're just trying to find somewhere to pull over.
Right.
Whatever the case may be. But
Or it could be an elderly person.
exactly. Or if you and obviously if you're speeding, then like how do you really, caught you doing 15 miles over the speed limit. So how do you really fight that? Oh, where were you going? What were you doing?
Right.
I have nothing wrong with my car. It's obviously doing 15 over the speed limit.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just get annoyed that
I could say on the highway, I can understand what you're saying, but
Right.
as far as on the street rules are different. The way I look at it, because we came from the city and we lived in Brooklyn, so you had to drive a certain way,
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
Manhattan and all that. So out here, it's a little different because the streets, if they're
Yeah.
back roads, really kind
Yeah.
of thinking about it. So there are times where you can pass, but there are people that I think when it comes to that, you got to be a little bit more mindful. I guess.
see, no, I think you should get the
At
same
least for
smack in
me,
the head.
anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, not saying
In
with
my
your ticket.
personal opinion, I also feel like some of these vehicle traffic laws are a little archaic.
Right.
Right.
So we're not really hitting you in the head for driving 5-10 miles under the speed limit.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're safe and you're not
Right.
impeding traffic, like we're not gonna mess with you.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like, like you said, on some of these back roads or just even on the regular roads, if you're doing 35 and now there's this long line of cars, now you're holding up traffic. Now you're in the way. Like the cop, to me, should just like, yo, you okay? Do you need help? Like what's going on? Why are you going that slow?
But then obviously, slower than that, we would obviously.
Right.
If you're doing 5-10, but you're still cruising, we're not gonna mess with you. But if you're really now dragging up traffic behind you,
Yeah.
that
See?
would cause for what you're saying.
Yeah, see, I'm just like, bro.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because
Meaning if it's actually more than one vehicle.
yeah, right.
just Kenny
not
back
just me.
behind.
Yeah, not just me behind you. No,
exactly.
Like you said, like because in Middletown on 211, the speed limit is 45, right, on a certain part of 211, and everybody in all three lanes they're all doing 35, and the police officer sitting there, and it's 45. So now the people in front are doing 10 miles under, and it's literally a half mile of cars because everybody's trying to move. Police officers just twiddling their thumbs. I'm like, bro, like, why aren't you getting them? You know
That's
what I
probably
mean?
why they're doing it too, because they see him, so they're automatically slowing down.
But again, if you're doing the speed limit
know.
of 40, 45, that's better than doing 30, 35.
okay.
Because I'm like, well, why are you driving so slow? Me as a cop.
That's a question to the masses now.
You
I find it funny sometimes if I fall below the speed limit, and cars don't want to pass me. Like they'll sit on my tail
Yeah.
and just sit there for miles.
Yeah, see, that's why, man. I just want to choke y'all out. I'm like, get out the
I'm not
way.
saying you can't pass this. We're just
Well, I can't because the guy next to you is doing.
But you also have to understand we have to adhere. If we're and I speak, I guess, more of out of our jurisdiction. If we have to travel to something like a hospital or something,
Right.
like we still have to adhere to these vehicle and traffic laws ourselves.
Yeah, no. Like, well, I'm not talking about being in a police car. I'm just talking about, person in their private vehicle that they're doing that and you guys don't put them over. Yeah, no. And listen, I'm not trying to be rude about it, but, they're a police officer in their cars that if they're doing 35, I know that they're on patrol. The speed limit is 45. I'm going 45. Like, I'm not even going to make believe like I'm not. I do it, But, finally, after a long, long time, all my stuff is legit, so I'm good. I'm like, it's all right, whatever. It's all gravy.
what about when on the highways? They sit in the, when
In the median, yeah.
mediums, and they tell you, you can't make a U-turn. Do they sleep at night? Are they crashing? They got to be crashing, man. There's
Plead the
no way
fifth.
they're not crashing.
I can't answer that question.
They take a nap once in a
I
while.
would say that we always are there when we're called. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day,
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Everyone else is doing.
Fair enough. I had to ask anyway.
All right, now I want to switch up a little bit to like at the academy, and they said trying to stay, easy, and of course, you tell us or answer whatever questions you like. But now, do they teach you? Because you said earlier about knowing human people. Do they teach you, show you, have at least maybe 5 classes, 5 sessions where they're talking to you about how to deal with police? Because I also want you, and something that we had said before, defend the police. Because for some of us that don't know, we're like, damn police, they never talk, they just turn around and throw you around or whatever. Is there something that's taught at the academy, or is it just depending on where you are? Like we were saying earlier too, the different wherever you are, that it's just a different kind of police academy.
So I'm going to speak from obviously a little bit from my perspective and what I've obviously was surrounded by. As far as the academy, yes, they try to get you to a level to be able to do the job. They give you pretty much the rundown of the penal law. They give you pretty much the rundown of vehicle and traffic law. They give you a rundown of basically, all the capacity of what we need to do our job.
Right.
And they give us, when it comes to more of a people level, they give us, yes, that de-escalation tactics, the how to maybe talk your way out of a situation. And it's short, and I believe, yes, I can say we get as much as we can in a short amount of time.
And then the rest is experience, right? You go out there and try to apply it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. I would imagine trying to it's like saying how to approach a certain situation you're really not going to know. They could give you the idea how to do it, right? I'm saying they train you, hey, this is what you want to look for. Well, A, B, C, and then when you're there, you kind of have, because each situation is different, right? It's never going to be the same, even though it could be the same kind of crime, it could, or whatever's going on. They could all go a different way, I would assume.
I feel like that's like all jobs, though, right? Like you have your training, like if you go to school for something, and then when you actually go to the job, you like learn the real job. You know what I mean? And I'm sure it's the same thing with police.
Exactly.
Like you learn theory and all that stuff, but when you go to do it, it's that's where you learn.
Pretty much what we need for the job and how to execute it, on top of the fact that everything's informational, and if we need to look something up, it's there.
Right.
So that penal law book is extensive as it is. Yes, we can look up, a law, because at the end of the day, we know a crime happened at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So.
Okay, that makes sense. Because it's like, sometimes, and like I said, I know I'm the person that I am, and I always try to be some kind of respectful first. And then the minute I get that little bit of that little giving me that attitude, I'm like, bro, like there's no need to be like that. I'm giving you and talking to you, all that other good stuff, And I understand too, officers are people too. You know what I mean? I'm not taking away from any of that, but I just still, it's almost like I treat them as regular people. So then, when it's been a long time, thank God, knock on wood, that I've gotten pulled over, but that, it's like, I almost want to snap them back into reality. Like, yo, bro, like I didn't say or do anything. Here's my paperwork. I've been respectful, and then they take that as a threat, if you will, I will say I've had, I guess my next question would be, if somebody, in your experience, about you, not about any other police officer, if somebody's being respectful, even though they, overtook someone, or, they didn't fully stop at that stop sign, if they're respectful to you, do you give them a break? Do you still give them a ticket? Like, how do you work?
I feel like, as you say, not anyone else but me. I feel like you also have to break it down to that we're all individuals. So wherever we're working, whatever we're doing on this planet, as police officers, you're getting employees from all types of backgrounds, all types of walks of life, all types of upbringings, whatever they were accustomed to.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have someone like me now, where I would, in the face of you now feeling like I disrespected you in some way, or made you feel, subservient, I guess.
Right.
I would still approach you with, all right, well, I'm not trying to escalate this.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to still now approach this as, yes, sir. You're right, sir. Well, this is what's happening. And I would try to at least explain it to you. If I'm going to give you a ticket, I'm going to give you a ticket regardless.
Okay.
Right? I'm
You already pretty much made your mind up.
Yes, I'm still going to try to talk to you to make you feel like, well, I'm not here to bust your chops. I'm not here to this is what you did.
Mm-hmm.
Because you do get a lot of traffic stops. Well, I didn't do that. I didn't run that stop sign. And at the end of the day, I'm being fair off what I see.
Right.
and if it's your time to get, I guess, per se, caught, you ran that stop sign.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm gonna pull you over, and depending on our interaction, I may feel like, all right, you know what? Go about your day, sir.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
No problems. But if you're going to now give me an issue, I may feel more inclined to, yes, let me take your license to make sure your stuff is right. I may still let you go.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, your attitude's going to
I would imagine, it would definitely drive the whole situation of what's going to happen, right?
at least to where, like I said, I'm pulling you over because I saw you do what you do. You ran through that light. You came up that one way. You did whatever you did. And at the end of the day, if you're gonna give me a hard time about it, then yes, let's see why you're giving me a hard time about this.
Right. And again, that goes back to what I was asking you earlier. When you do that, sometimes now you're looking it up. There could be something that happened, or he has a previous something going on.
Exactly.
I have something that I'd like to share with you. A few years back, I was living in Monticello at the time, and they were doing they checking cars for inspection stickers and all that other stuff. It was the sheriff. So they pulled me over, and seatbelt on, everything. Police officer says, I need your license and registration. Okay. So I had to take my seatbelt off. Mind you, my car is off. It's sitting there. I'm parked. He cited me for not having a seatbelt on.
Oh.
As soon as I took it off to get the stuff out of my glove compartment, which was a douchebag move. And we got into it, him and I. So at that point, for me, I was more aggravated because it was like, oh, he was being a dick. And then I had to go to court, and I wound up having to pay a fine anyway, but not for the fine, not for what he pulled me over for. They gave me it for something else. So usually it's like for parking on pavement or something like that, and you have to pay a certain thing. So for me, I thought that was pretty. Now, was I still in the wrong by taking my seatbelt off and reaching for it, getting that? Or was it wrong for him to do what he did?
Or were we supposed to ask to take off? Like, it's over there, officer. I got to take my seatbelt off to go.
So I'm gonna be totally honest.
Okay.
So now, not to talk bad about, I guess, other employees in my field, but I also feel like you have to take it back to now. Let's go back to high school, right? We're growing up with these people who we live around now as adults. Right. And at the end of the day, everyone has their personality. So you're going to have that. You're going to know that, and for name's sake, I'm not calling anybody out. You're going to have that Brad that grew up a certain way.
Right.
To where now, him in his mid-20s as a police officer, it's going to bring out his personality. Because yes, it is his job to now enforce a law. And if I catch you breaking that law, I have the authority to enforce that law. So at the end of the day, whatever personality you have now is going to come out within that job. And at the end, not at the end of the day, but I do compare it to where it could be in any other job. Any other job. It could be a mechanic. It could be somebody you go to take your car to, and you know what? He knows some basic, skills and necessities for the job, but he could be a total douchebag.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. Every job has
Yeah.
So unfortunately,
that guy.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, you're that guy.
We worked together.
People
We always
slip
have
through.
that guy.
Yeah. People slip through the cracks in any job.
Yeah.
and that was probably the only time I ever got in a shouting match with a police officer my whole entire life, honestly. And so I was pretty frustrated about that. I was like, wow, take the seatbelt off and to get it.
Yeah.
Oh, no seatbelt. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And it just took
That's
off.
funny.
Yeah, man, that was crazy. But it was a while. That was a while back. But most of the times, I have to say, in the times I've been pulled over in my life, it was usually pretty cool. I never really had a bad experience in the sense where I felt like a police officer was being a dick.
Yeah.
But usually it was, where were you going? Did you know you were traveling at this blah, blah, blah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, no, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And they give you sometimes I was let go. all right, just slow it down. And then there were other times I got a ticket, but and I went for it, and I paid the fine. But that was probably the only time I ever had that issue with a police officer.
I mean, I've had different interactions with. It depends on like your personalities. Like, because I used to be. Well, I don't really do it anymore. I used to be animal rights activist, so like we do a lot of protests and stuff like that. And sometimes you'd have because I guess they have to show up if there's a protest just to see what's going on. And, sometimes people will be like really, like try to be hard ass. And then some guys will be like, hey, just to let you know, make sure it's always like, make sure you don't block the sidewalk,
right?
This and that. Make sure, don't step on the person's property. Just kind of that stuff.
Yeah, no,
usually go over with us. But
I thought you were going to tell when we went to go see Kiss.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a great time.
We went, well, I'll tell you really quick. So we were on the highway going out to go see Kiss, and there was super traffic going to Connecticut. So we're on the highway and there was traffic stuck. We started to run a little bit behind. So we went and we did the U-turn where the police officers sit in the median. But it was a hidden one, We know it's there, been back and forth with it forever. We go through and we got to the other side. Now a car had gone in front of us and did it. So we go to do it too. And the cop is there, dude, no lie. He jumped out. He had another 2 cars that had gone and pulled over, but we couldn't see through the trees that he had pulled them over. We didn't even see the officer on the other side. So he turned around and he stood in the middle of the highway, bro. Wow. It was shit out of a movie. And he like you saw the anger. Like you could just read his pull over there. We go over and it's me, Lou, and another friend of ours, Jerry. And he's like, do you know? And he starts screaming like, sorry, officer, we're on our way to a concert and we running late.
That loud, though.
No. Well, you were in the back seat, so you didn't hear him because he was right here by me.
I heard him, bro.
No, I'm making a joke. I know. Yeah, he wasn't like that loud. He was just super stern. Like,
he was like, why would you do like,
that kind of thing.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, and like, we're running late for the concert. We want to help and get there. And he's like, who you gonna go see? We're like, Kiss. Dude, his whole demeanor changed. Like, he just wanted to mess with us because we're gonna go see Kiss. Right. It was great. So then the end of it, and he turned around and I was like, do you like Kiss? And he's like, I don't like anybody that has to paint their face to be famous. I was like, you got us. Yeah. So he was cool after that because they were like, oh, Lou, because Lou, that's his band, bro. Kiss those are his peoples. And the guy like, I don't like that. I was like, it was great. But that was one of those ones that, he kind of, scolded us and whatnot and he let us go on our way. You know what I mean? And
at some point, you understand, like, especially when it comes to just vehicle and traffic, like a lot of us are bad drivers. A lot of us are just doing reckless, crazy stuff.
True enough.
Right.
And you can attest to it by the amount of motor vehicle accidents that.
Right.
But you see, I don't know. That's why I say I had that question earlier about somebody driving slow. You know what I mean? Or that they're not paying attention. Because see, isn't it true that automatically if you hit somebody from behind that you're at fault because you hit them? So now if I'm on the street and I'm doing the speed limit and somebody who's doing 30 or 5 miles, 10 miles under the speed limit, and now them not paying attention, they cross over, I can't stop. I'm doing the actual speed limit. They were off to the side, left side or right side, and they get in my way, then it's automatically me. That's why I'm saying, like, it's how come that person won't get gigged for it, but me, because I was doing the speed limit, I'm getting kicked in the teeth and all that other good stuff.
I mean, obviously, speeding is more a safety hazard when it comes to
someone going slow.
Exactly. I mean, unfortunately, for your story's sake, yes, it sucks. But
where's the camera now? I want that street camera.
Speed obviously kills. Speed obviously injures. Speed obviously creates more damage.
Right. Yeah, that just kills me, bro. I'm like, so now, you have another question? No. I was gonna, because we were not limited on time. I was gonna see how much time.
Well, I was gonna ask you,
Officer Hightower needed.
On a serious note. So, what advice would you give citizens or people in general who feel apprehensive about talking to the police and things like that? Like if what would you say?
All right. So my advice would be on, let's say, a crime in progress call would be to interact with police a little more, because we're there to obviously prevent and or solve and or, alleviate whatever happened in this incident. So like we get a lot of obviously people who don't want to talk to us, don't want to say what they saw or point us in the right direction. So we would say talk to us more. Because what else are we there for? Like we're not there to harass people. We're not there. We got a call. Something happens. You know, if you have information that could help us solve these crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
As far as vehicle and traffic, I mean, personally, it sucks, but you got caught. You got caught.
Mm-hmm.
You ran a red light. Everyone does it. A lot of people do. Let me take that back. Not everyone, but a lot of people does it. And you got caught at that time. So just take your ticket. There's no reason for you to give me a hard time because at the end of the day, I want to write this ticket and give it to you and send you on your way the quickest as possible.
Well, most of the times they're probably just mad because they got caught.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because they know they didn't, and they don't want to admit to it.
Oh, yeah.
So now they're pissed off.
Sometimes we have to do our jobs a lot of times because you're doing it amongst other people.
Right.
They're not looking at us like, are you going to do your job?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I actually saw today? Not to change the subject too much. See, I have a tendency to do this. No, I was squirrel.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's ADHD. No, because like most people that run red lights is usually they're just trying to catch the
yellow.
But today I saw someone fucking stop and then fucking roll through it. Yeah, they were like, I don't know what they were like. Fuck this.
They
I'm
thought it was a
going.
stop
I don't
sign.
know. They like stopped and looked in both ways and
They thought it was a stop sign.
Yo.
They were treating it like a fucking stop
That's
sign.
crazy.
Advice on that as well. I would also want to
Well,
say,
that's you're definitely getting pulled over for that shit.
but I would also
Yeah.
tell people like who are now gunning it as that light is turning yellow.
Yeah.
Yellow. Yes, what you think was the yellow wasn't the yellow. Because obviously, from a different perspective, we
Right,
see
yeah.
that light
Right.
turn red, and the time it takes for that other light to turn
To
green
change.
before you pass underneath that.
Right.
You're right. Yeah, that's
Right, because you're seeing it from you have a better angle.
Exactly. As you're approaching that yellow light, I mean, I'm not a scientist.
Right,
but
no.
Yes,
Right, I get it.
science takes play, and you think it's still yellow, but
by my
it's
house.
almost like
Right.
it's turning red.
By my house, we have a dangerous intersection. I live in Butler in New Jersey, but like it's on Route 23 there, where there's like it's like a little bit of a hill that comes around a bend, and like sometimes people try to blow the light.
Oh, dude.
And you got people who gun it when it turns green.
Yeah.
And they all the time.
Yeah.
all the time.
Yes.
That intersection.
See.
All the
And
time.
I try to advise people when I do pull them over for that.
Yeah,
That-
all the
that
time.
could happen.
Right.
Yeah.
That could
Yeah.
happen.
Mm-hmm.
Accidents, like again, I said, I try to tell people, these traffic infractions cause accidents. Accidents. I've seen a lot of accidents,
But, like-
they were bad.
Oh, it happens.
And the same reason though is why like when the light turns green, I don't
don't gun
I
it.
used to when I was younger. Every time it turned green, I was
Like,
like, I think I was in fucking Mario Kart. You know, but now I see that
Put the
shit,
jets
especially
on.
by me because we got especially because like Facebook, like we got the like you know the Butler group, like another bad accident on 23. People post about it. I said, holy shit! Now when I do go, I look, I say make sure no one's being a dickhead, you know, and go through.
That's funny. So now, for me, so we have a few minutes left. What is it? Like I said, appreciate you being on. Was there anything that you'd like to say in defense of police officers, or you know, just a quick little something that was on your mind that you know you wanted to kind of just blah?
If I had to address anyone, I would say that this job is just a job. It's a career. It's a great career. Don't get me wrong, but it's still just a job where you have ordinary people who decide to, in my opinion, step up to give some type of order to what we have going on here. And at the end of the day, I mean, I have back and forth banter with people in the street sometimes, obviously, sometimes drug dealers, sometimes, you know, anyone else who frequent the streets. And I say, if you guys don't want us around, police yourselves then. Like, we're only here because most of the time we're getting calls for certain things.
Right.
For the most part, we're not out here trying to stop your fun, stop you from having a good time in this life.
Right.
But at the end of the day, yes, there is things. So we are pretty much mandated reporters. So to do our jobs, yes, if we see something, for the most part, we have to do something about it, especially if we get called. So
Right.
at the end of the day, we're not there to bust up your fun. We're not there to to at least the majority of us. Again, going back, there are people with different personalities that slip through the cracks, and they are there, and some of us are trying to do our best to kind of like weed them out internally. But at the end of the day, as I said in the beginnings, one of the negatives is politics.
Yeah.
And these things happen. And unfortunately, like I said, like the good ones that do work this job, that do have fun and give citizens a break when we are working, that we get painted as the evil ones with the ones that are doing.
Because like you said, every job has a bad egg regardless. You know, not everybody's good, even though they're a police officer, doesn't necessarily mean they're good. Or any field for that matter, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
They just think, you know, they have that way about them. So yeah, it's sad. But community must be a big thing too, right? For you to like be, you know, have that communication and relationship with as well. That must help and be very helpful as well as far as your job is concerned. I
agree, and I am big on community because obviously I police the community that I'm in right now, and I do feel like there has to be communication between us and I guess the municipalities to govern them,
right?
To obviously make a good living situation for them,
right?
And it boils again down to politics, where it doesn't always happen.
Right.
Got it. You got one more? Or you good?
No, that's it, no.
So, brother man, Officer Hightower, appreciate you being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for,
Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Yes,
Hell yeah.
Appreciate it.
If there's another time that you want to discuss something else, let us know. You can certainly come on back.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You know, anything else with police stuff or anything else going on, let us know. You can come on back and chill out with us, and you're more than welcome. Thank you. So with that, thank everybody for listening. Love, peace, and hair grease.
Live long and prosper.
And go vegan.
Holla.